we'll move along.
But there's 3 district court judges. You guys out of here quick. We're gonna get straight.
We can start BOE.
Yeah, which is. All right, good morning.
All right, we're back in session, so.
Julie was telling me that.
So as requested, we scheduled monthly county facilities work sessions. Kind of keep you guys better updated on what's going on and what's coming up. I won't bore you with the minor stuff, but some of the things I wanted to update you on was my comp time is coming down nicely as requested.
Appreciate that.
Good. We found a contractor that's going to help us out with the scaffolding and the stairway, so we can start getting those wrapped up. Commissioner Tubby saw some of the bids on that. It was outrageous, so we found a better way to get those done. So
That was, somebody was needing some Corvette money.
yeah. Jessica in GIS is working hard to get our information into CityWorks, and I'm excited to see how that turns out. She's doing a great job. And then Shanda is working on our RFP for the custodian contract. And that's really close to being done. Yesterday, applications started rolling in for my assistant, and I'm pretty encouraged by that. We're getting a good response. And hoping to see roofing materials show up at the museum in the next week or two. They said that was their best bet, was mid-July. They think some of that stuff is kind of a special order item. So
Cool.
this fall, I'd like to, some of the things I wanted to run by is maybe on the front of the courthouse, updating the county sill and fixing the clock.
Yes.
Kind of something that we,
Well, and there's some of the
That's right, twice a day.
Right.
terracotta on the front of the building.
yeah.
There's some that needs to be repointed. There's some of it that all of the grout lines in it. I was looking on the front of the building with Jeff a while ago, and there's just some spots where we need to go through, make sure all our windows are sealed, make sure we don't have any water infiltrating between the window coming in down the inner wall.
Okay.
Can we
There's-
still get parts for that clock?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I thought I'd heard Jeff say that we couldn't, so.
yeah, that's something we need to get done.
But if we could get that fixed, we put lights up on the building a couple years ago.
Right.
We might want to just adjust, see if we can get some better lighting.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
it's still really dark in this area.
Yeah.
It's nice summertime, but if you're down here, I drove by last night. It was about 10:30 when I drove home, and there's still some pretty dark spots.
Yeah.
And in the wintertime is what I really worry about when it's dark at 5 o'clock and people are trying to get out across the in the ice and the snow. That's something we might just want to,
Yeah, I agree.
you know. Is there other dark, things that we can do land lighting that way, just off the building, to make sure that, the one thing is the porch, you can't really see on the front of the building. If you're just driving by, you couldn't really see if somebody was there.
Okay.
And if we can work on some of that lighting, it makes it for security cameras that they can see and observe the building better.
Yeah.
And I think it might just be repositioning, turning some lights, or it might be adding one or two, or turning or whatever. But just,
Yeah.
that would be something we'd probably look at, is the review of that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. And one thing we're working on with the cameras too is having access to them in the wintertime. We'll know if it's snowing
Yes.
from our home, from our cell phone. That'll be
Yes.
a neat thing to get. Adam was gonna set up for us.
I
Or
still,
if your dog's digging in the.
the other thing too is,
Yeah, conversation.
we're talking about the vacation of 6th Street.
Right.
And so it might not be a bad idea with that new building going in and some of that other stuff, is to find out, and maybe what we do is we work with Shannon, get a request for some architectural services and start having a basic layout of this block campus area, and actually put a plan together that actually is something to go off of, instead of just, hey, this sounds good, let's move it here. How are we going to close that street off? How are we going to make sure it's a safe walkway? How does the courts still access stuff? How does elections? How does the sheriff's office? And I think we start going through that and start building that long-term idea.
Yes, for sure.
And we got to find a place for the eagle.
Okay. Very good. Some of the Another minor thing is that jury room 115 needs finished, and then I think we're gonna do a walkthrough with Carrie Hong next couple weeks over those courtrooms. So we can talk about more about that later, but
Kerry had called and wanted to set that up. It'll probably be after next week,
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
walkthrough with BOE. It just-
yeah. That'll be fine.
It's a little bit of a, yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep, no worries. Some of the bigger items is the road and bridge roof. Think we can patch it this summer, and then we'll,
The what?
the road and bridge roof.
Uh-huh.
It's got, it's done. But I think, all the patches that are on there have come loose, so we'll patch it and get another year out of it. But that's something we need to put on the radar, is if we wanna,
Extend the life of that building.
yeah,
Okay.
okay?
I think we need to have probably a serious conversation about that compound out there. There's so much stuff that's, the problem is they're building all those apartments across the street, they're building a bunch of other stuff. And as you start having high-density housing that's going in, it's not very smart to have semis and belly dumps and all this other stuff and big equipment, because when you hit people and pedestrians with that, you kill people instead of just, I mean, seriously, that's why you move those facilities, that's why those facilities are generally in an area where nobody lives around them.
Right.
And as they're starting to encroach, that really needs to be a conversation, is do we sell that and move off? I mean, we have that other 40 acres that probably selling that would buy a brand new building and a bunch of other stuff instead of doing, I mean,
They've kind of run into that at the Philbin gravel pit, where they can't get out of their driveway anymore. because
well,
of
that
traffic.
Philbin gravel pit, we should literally just do away with and turn it into a soccer field.
I saw that yesterday.
It's 80 acres of grass right now and a gravel pit, and we should fill the gravel pit in, make some baseball diamonds, and call it good.
And then, as always, starting the conversation about replacing buildings. I mean, just throwing it out there. My three top choices would be the annex, the event center office, and the Downey Fairgrounds. So
Yeah,
just something to throw out there to think about.
well, and I think there's some, those are those conversations, I think, with that master plan of the 6th Street vacation and all that, that starts to tie into that discussion. I think the event center office, that roof is gone. I think we really need to look at that, what we do up there. You can build some shop buildings, some stuff that would probably be a lot cheaper. And building materials, if you wait 6 months, it'll probably be fairly cheap.
That's what I hear.
Getting another interest rate hike next week.
Yeah.
So, but that's, and then the Downey conversation, that's a whole, I mean, that's $2.5 million worth of, I don't know how you'd ever replace all that
Yeah.
or do all that. I don't, especially with the kind of use that they do.
Right.
So I don't really know what that would be.
And $2.5 million is considering replacing it with what they have there, and I know they're going to shoot for bigger, better, so that number could double.
Well, the problem is
Supposed to do shoot for bigger, better, right?
they don't really have the size, capacity, and infrastructure to absorb bigger, better.
Right.
That's the problem.
We just have to be careful what they're using the buildings for.
Well, and I think we should probably, once BOE gets over,
we're intertwined with city property and county property. There's a lot more than just replacing buildings there.
Yeah.
well,
To get it all situated and who owns what.
I think once, just like doing the walkthrough with Carrie is, I think once BOE gets over, that we should probably have a sit-down work session just with Dan. And we need to probably get some grease boards out and do some serious, where you, because as we start putting, just roofs and all that other stuff, that adds up real quick.
It does.
So,
I will tell you that Ed showed me the message you sent to him. And thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for acknowledging good work.
Yeah.
That means a lot to them. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
A lot of times they work long hours and they're not here when anybody else sees them, and
Yeah.
just that acknowledgement meant a lot to them.
I'm
So,
excited
thank you.
I'm excited for the future. I think we'll be successful and more productive, and got some good guys to work with. So,
well,
all right.
anything,
Thank you.
holler.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for the meeting.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Shanda, you didn't have anything for the judge?
No.
I'm gonna hold you off for a minute and let's go ahead and go with Scott. Okay?
Get people out of here.
Oh, yeah.
Come on up.
We're all discombobulated today. Normally we have a bigger table. Just grab whatever tables or chairs and.
So I believe the contract that you guys have may have some, we may have some changes to it. They changed from my name, and this guy's name on there, and then I think the date, we changed it to July 1st, so this is just some of the changes
Okay.
on the contract.
Here. Just put your name on that one too.
Okay. I'll start by introducing myself. I'm Scott Crowther. I'm the event director and business manager.
Janelle Clement, the warden at the Pocatello Women's Correctional Center.
Lieutenant James Rand, I'm the lieutenant over work projects.
So for the past few years, we've had the opportunity to work with some of the female offenders at the women's prison. They've come up and provided services for our facility, and it's greatly enhanced the appearance of our facility, and I think some of the public relations between our county and the Department of Corrections. And we look forward to being able to utilize this program again this year to try to help move forward with these young ladies. So we have a contract that starts from July 2022 to June 30th of 2023, which allows us to use the female inmates at the rate that we currently have this budgeted in our line, so this should not impact anything from our standpoint.
So they're good then to go back, because I know they had COVID restriction and all the other stuff, and I know that was, yeah, you know. But that's, and that's been something up there, just helping out and working through that. It is something that when we lost them, you don't realize how bad that hurts until you lose them just in the basic kind of stuff. Just trying to keep up on that place up there, just on keeping the garbages changed is a task unto itself. So, cool.
We're excited to come back up and get our ladies back out, so.
How many crews are you gonna have this, I mean, in the past, you guys had a couple, so.
So I totally have 3. You'll see another contract. I just barely got it this morning and sent it over to the landfill.
Kyle, behind you. Department of Corrections, work crews.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, we have 3 total. We work.
Will you pull them off for the state fair?
Yeah.
That week that they're gonna be
Yes.
off of, so we.
Yes,
okay.
we do.
Okay.
We can make adjustments if we need to, but that's typically what we've done in the past.
Okay.
That's what we were just discussing, is having a contract with just Bannock County, or would that make that too complicated then to have him come in and sign one? And I've got one that I'm gonna come in and sign.
I like it separated.
Keep track of the budgets.
It's coming out of 2 different budgets, 3 different budgets, whatever. I'd like it separated.
I agree.
No, no, that's good that you guys are going back. We appreciate that. I know Scott in his past life is probably excited as a former warden to be able to have.
I think it's a great program. I
It is.
really do. I
It is.
support it 100%. So.
Cool. All right. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the.
Just don't take pictures in Jordan if you go.
Yeah, don't do that, man. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the signature on contract with the Idaho Department of Corrections for vocational work project as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Hey, good seeing you, Jim.
Seeing you too. Seeing you, Brian.
Yeah.
A different capacity.
Just the one, right there is all. It had Annie's signature. There was a sticky note there is all.
Cool. Thanks, Scott.
Rusty, and on vacation.
All right, Shanda, you're back up.
Commissioner Shanda Crystal, Purchasing and Economic Analyst. I have a couple items before the board today. First off, the conflict public defenders. We have no new applicants for either the contract position or the employment position. We do have the two that we discussed last week, and those will move forward with interviews after we conclude with the BOE. That's decided. My second one is an update on the office, and there has been no additional needs at this time identified as we get Danielle in there and get her going. So we have no additional needs at this time for that one. And my last request to talk to the commissioners is about, I have two requests for people to purchase county cell phones. The first one is the spouse of our employee that had passed away a couple months ago. He has the personal pictures and things on that phone, and she has now requested if it would be possible for her to purchase that phone from the county. Normally, we would get with Verizon, get a list of what their phones are going for. That contact is out for the foreseeable future. So I got with Adam. He suggested I go to eBay, find items that had sold. We took the 5 highest ones that had sold in the last little bit. So I do have an estimated value on that phone. It is approximately 4 years old. If I average the 5 highest selling rates on eBay for that type of phone is $80.
I don't know what our policy is, but I'd just give her the phone.
Yeah.
It's
That's
one of
4
those
years old.
situations.
Yeah, I don't know. I know there is a minimum that we,
If it's over $250,
Yeah.
it has to be,
But-
goes to auction. If it's
yeah,
appraised,
I agree.
it has no value to the county. I mean, it has some value, but that, I would just,
I agree.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we,
Gift.
I want to,
Maybe authorize it for whatever the minimum amount
yes,
legally.
authorize the
Disposal per
the
dollar.
dispose of the property at the minimum amount possible. And if there is, if it appears to be de minimis, that the property be assigned and depreciated to no value and be gifted to the spouse of our deceased employee.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Okay.
So
You got
just-
that, Nancy?
I had some very specific things in there that if we.
So I do want to clarify, if it is deemed that there is not a minimum value that we have to sell an item for.
Just dispose of the item and give them.
Okay,
Dispose
so
of.
we'll look through some codes, things like that. I'll double check with the
Yeah.
comptroller and make sure
I-
if there's a
I-
need.
I-
Don't work too hard on this.
I think that it's actually, that's under the value and that you would
4 years
depreciate it out.
It is 4
And
years.
it's, if it was a brand new phone, it's a much different conversation. But if it's a 4-year-old phone, screen's cracked, it's got problems that way, just let them get that pictures and all the stuff off of it.
It was well loved, I am sure, but I will follow up and make sure with the comptroller before moving forward.
Okay.
The second request I have is from the Assistant Public Works Director to be able to take the phone as well as his phone number with him as he leaves the county. Again, I did the same.
I've never seen a resignation letter from him.
Me neither.
Yes, he can take it, he can take it with him. He can take it with him for $100 million.
In 5 years.
Wait. Make sure you do that, yeah.
I told him I wasn't gonna sign.
So I've never seen anything. I've gotten a different resignation letter this week.
I would just have him, again, just,
So I did eBay, I did the top 5, and it does come under just slightly over the $250 at $254. That is
just
where
do it at
is.
$250 and
I was gonna say 275 with finger in the chest.
And there's no problem to transfer the number?
I just
No.
sign off on it.
Okay.
Yeah, we just think.
No, that's fine.
So I should clarify, the only difficulty is anybody work-wise who has assigned that no to contact us. He'll continue to get a few work calls, but I'm sure
He'll figure it
reroute
out.
them. Yeah.
And
So-
he's the kind of guy that he'll forward them onto the right
Right.
spot.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm okay with that.
for sure.
Mr. Chair, I authorize the selling of the cell phone to the Assistant Public Works Director for, did you say $250? $250, and authorize release of his number.
Got a motion, all in favor say aye.
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 I will get those done. Thank you so much.
Quick question. I thought you had an update for us on it. I was gonna ask on an update for the RFQ for the juvenile facility.
That is due tomorrow. I do apologize. I took my procurement update off of the agenda
that's
because
fine.
of the Board of Equalizations. I just didn't have time.
I was
to-
just concerned with the contacts and people and things that we've been having coming in about the performance of whoever wins the RFQ, about being able to perform in a limited amount of time, and if we need to extend that
I do
before
think-
tomorrow.
I do think there will be an additional conversation, though I did pass an architect in the hallway.
Okay, so we've had several that are still responding to this then?
I am hoping. I
If
have
we need an
nothing-
addendum to it, I mean, in the others, you've made addendum.
Yeah, we'll make
so
an addendum, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine too.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, and
then
then
come
this is
back.
a request for qualification. We would move forward with a contract. In that contract, we
We'd
can
extend
specify
it.
any, adjustments that we would like to make.
Okay, cool, thank you.
All right, Kyle.
Morning, Kyle Bumster, Bannock County Public Works Director. Today I am asking for signature on the agreement between GLM and Bannock County to do this. This is all for Phase 2 landfill liner project.
Did you figure out your money issues with that?
So,
The answer is no. And it's a big no, and I'm a little ticked about it, to be honest with you.
okay,
This is something that, before things go to RFQ or RFP, whatever it is, this is where people need to go in and talk to the comptroller to make sure their funds. We're $1.7 million down on this deal.
so here's the problem with that is I don't agree with it not being through your department. We started, and that's what I was gonna get into next, is a timeline of this. In 21 and 22, we had a $5 million contract. We split that in 2.5 and 2.5. These things are out there a long way, so this isn't exact science we have going on here. In 2021, we only spent like $300,000. So I was working with Christie on that when that happened. Luckily, we had bids from 6 million to 2 million. That's a 3.5 million spread. Luckily, we got a low enough bid that I went back to Christie and I could have our assistant director state the same thing, because we were both there. And I went to her and said, we're lucky, but we're going to be a few $100,000 shy. And so we're in this, we've come around with the 2.5 law, mess up in the budget year, but we were real close. Well, then when we had to terminate a contract and come back in, and then with the timeline we have, it's not something we haven't tried to incorporate with everybody. And it's hard because
And things
That's
have
not
shot
the
up
way
in
we went.
cost so
Very
much,
much
and
so.
I get that, but
So
there's no budget for it.
where's the budget? So we had capital projects for those projects though, that we did last year.
so we've spent on what work's been done.
Okay, and so where are we at total on that?
So I have shut down all remediation.
Mm-hmm.
And I've saved $1 million on that. That was some of the thing we were gonna use before we terminated the last contract to save us there. That's what we were looking at.
Okay, so you have how much money sitting in the bank right now, on the line? How much do you have available to
We
spend?
need $1.7 million.
Okay, and so when is the work to be performed?
It's starting now, as soon as you agree to proceed as the commission.
Okay, so where are we getting the 1.7 from?
No idea.
So
That's
this,
not entirely true, because there's revenue coming in that we're not
Yeah.
getting accurate projections on. So our revenue should be double, because the projections for revenue were based on 300 tons a day.
And we're
That's true.
about double. So I went with Christie and worked with her the other day, and we have cut everything we can. We had some other line items we cut, and we're at 1.6 or something. I don't know what we're getting.
It
So
was
here's my-
over 1.8 and it's down to,
So
they
here's
found
my
down to
question.
1.7.
What is in reserve right now in landfill? What is in reserve that is not budgeted?
Well, here's the thing though, I was told we can't touch
No,
reserves.
no, I don't, and I know that. I'm just asking, how much is in reserve right now, today? That is not budgeted, but is sitting in your
I
backup
would have
account?
to look.
What's the number, Kyle? You know it.
That's 7 million something.
Okay, so this is what we do then, is, and this is how it will work, this is how we fix this problem, is we're gonna run this project over a budgetary year, correct? When is the completion date? When does it,
December 1st.
okay, so December 1st, is it in this fiscal year, yes or no? No.
No.
It's in next fiscal year, right? Is budgetary authority for next fiscal year been approved yet?
No.
Okay, so we have $7 million in reserves. So you take your $1.7 million out of your reserves that needs to be budgeted for next year, and it will be budgeted across the budgetary line item. You have funds right now to pay and move forward, and we know that. We have available funds and other things, and ARPA and other things that we could use to pay the bills until we budget in with your reserves to pay those funds back. That's all we're doing. That solves the problem, but we need a memo for it. We need to put that together, but we've got to get this project done.
Yeah.
This is something that I agree with everybody here. We have costs, we have problems, and we have a landfill that if we do not have that cell completed in a timely manner, I'm glad I ain't gonna be here if that landfill don't get done in time, and there's nowhere to put the flipping garbage.
Well, it's $25,000 a day just to haul it to the nearest other location, and that's, how do you load it though?
You can't.
There's
You can't.
no- we don't have a transfer
We do not
facility.
have the infrastructure, and it would cost 10 times what this is.
We can't just take it to the cabin?
So what I would say,
We probably could for a while, until
so what I would say is to achieve this and to do this is we need to have a memo put together. We need a resolution that says funds will be paid for this, and we can use the ARPA trust or other things right now, and those funds will be recaptured by reserve funds in the next fiscal year. There needs to be a discussion about that, and we need to have that probably for Tuesday before we approve this. We got to have that memo with that at the same time to show where monies are coming from, because right now we're going to just put a big into the red, and we need to have them together. Does that make sense? I mean, are you okay? Are you okay to
Yeah.
wait till
Yeah, that'd be
Tuesday?
good.
That's the way then that we solve this, is we can't budget it this year. You're absolutely right. We can't touch reserves. But we can go in next year, and if we have $7 million in reserves right now, or whatever that number is, that's why I want Tuesday. I want verification of what is in that account today. And then what we do is we go forward and we set and we say, this is what it's for. That's what those reserves are for. That's what those fees are gathered for, is this specific thing. And so that's how we get across the budgetary line item, but we've got to go.
Yeah,
that's a good option.
If we wait till August, there's no way.
no, they can't get it.
I mean, let the lynching and the headhunting begin.
That's a similar solution to what Christy and I had been talking about that was a possibility.
Budget across, bring it, and we still have to have the budget cycle. We still have to have it, but that is a key critical, I mean, this is out of all of the things that counties are required to do, this is the most critical thing, is make sure the garbage goes somewhere for public health and safety. That's it.
And it's just been that bad, like I say, like with the timeline stuff, and then with prices. I mean, when you have that variable of, you could have a $6 million project or a $2 million project, that's a big difference of trying to figure out how to budget. And with that timeline, we're just like locked to something.
Well, and like I said,
But the solution is simple, but the conversation needs to happen at the right time.
yeah.
That's the key. I mean, and it's not just you, it's everybody in the county. Nobody can go spend money that we don't have. I mean, that's just us.
Yep.
We cannot do that.
Well, and that's why I say what we do is we just have that resolution, just like the one I'm staring at for some other unmoving funds, that just says, we're authorizing this project.
Right.
ARPA funds are the short term to pay as things go, but then as soon, if reserve funds are budgeted for next year's capital project line item, this project, those funds will be reimbursed into the ARPA fund line item to make sure that those are made whole. Because we have reserve fees and we're collecting fees on landfill for that reason. And if we don't use those fees, we have a problem of why we're charging fees then. That's actually
Why are we building so?
the issue. Well, the issue is if we're collecting fees to build a reserve account, but then we're using funds from a different source to pay for everything, that's not necessarily correct. Basically, we're loaning the enterprise fund some money is what we're doing.
Yep, that'll be good.
So, good.
Get us something like that, Dave.
Okay.
Done deal.
We'll get that written up. That okay for you? Okay. I'm good.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
The final thing on this part of our agenda is resolution number 2022-27, authorization order to reallocate funds.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the resolution as presented.
Have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That being said, we'll be at recess until 1 o'clock.